Hello, Richmond, how we doing? And hello to everybody watching at home here. Our first of 8 GalaxyCon live stream events today. How's everybody feeling? So we do have a Q&A. I guess we should, this is my chair. So I guess we need somebody. Please, you know him as the voice of Vegeta, Piccolo, All Might. If I read his IMDb, we'd be here for an hour. Please help me welcome Mr. Christopher Sabat.
Hi. Hello, greetings, everybody. Hello, internet. That's weird. Having the internet watch this at the same time is that puts a lot of pressure on.
It does. You are the first.
I can't just say anything.
Well, right. We have no 7-second delay.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, crap. Well, internet, be kind to me.
As you know, things can sometimes go astray up here on main stage.
Yes, they can.
We've been blessed, maybe. I don't know if that's the right word, by the Batman of Raleigh.
The Batman of Raleigh. Has anyone heard of the Batman of Raleigh? No one saw that?
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness he's a wrestler, because this guy was starting to scare us because he was just in his own universe. It just sort of started by just walking in front of the stage, kind of pacing back and forth. Then when he was told to take a seat, he just sat on the edge of the stage.
It is a seat, I suppose.
And then he just jumped up on the stage, and that's where he was like, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?"
Yeah.
And he asked him a couple questions, and he finished like, "I'm Batman," and then and probably doesn't remember it either. So the Batman of Raleigh could be here and probably has no recollection of it.
Is the Batman of Richmond here? That's what we want to. Speaking of Richmond, how have these fine folks of Richmond? Actually, who is not from here? Look, that's amazing. But how have these fine folks been treating you here?
Man, they're great. They're great. I love Richmondonians. What do you call yourselves here? Richmonians?
Richmans?
Richmanders?
Richmanders.
Richmanders. Richmonders? Oh, Richmanders live in LA, I'm sure. And Rich Womenders as well. So
Rich Personders.
Rich Personders, yes. Yeah, everyone's great. Everyone's always great. I'm so lucky. I get this nice broad cross section of the kind of the weebdom, because there's a whole range of people who come see me. There's the people who grew up on Dragon Ball, and the people who are really intense, and they named their kids Gohan and Piccolo and stuff, and they bring their birth certificate to prove it, and then there's like football players or some of the other wrestlers who come to my table and suddenly become really, really nervous in front of me, which is really funny. And they're like, "I love Vegeta. I worked out to him every day." I'm like, man, I wish I'd tried that. But then there's the whole spectrum. There's My Hero Academia, and that's where I see parents and kids and kind of everybody, really. That show hits everyone. And then there's Yuri on Ice, and that's its own thing. The same people who come up for Yuri on Ice usually come for Fruits Basket, and you know who you are. And then One Piece has just become this thing. Who's watching One Piece right now? Who was watching One Piece prior to the pandemic? Okay, that got a little quieter, but less so than I thought. But before the pandemic, I would bring maybe 5 Zorro prints to the show because nobody really cared, or at least nobody came up for an autograph for Zorro at that point. But now it seems everybody's watching. And if you aren't, I'm just going to do the sales pitch. And I normally wouldn't sell people on a 1,200 episode show, but I started watching it with my kids, and it has been one of the best experiences I've had ever. And it's been incredible. That show is just so deep, and it's so heavy. My kid, I thought, well, I'll put them on something lighter like One Piece instead of Dragon Ball, and boy, was I wrong. Every one of those people on this One Piece boat have horrible childhood trauma. And I'm like, oh, cool. They got to the cute little bear character. He's his name is Chopper. He's like a little kid. This shouldn't be fine. And his is the absolute worst. His is so bad. And it's just so many layers. and now but the kids are my daughters love it. Unfortunately, they don't give a crap about Zorro. Biggest insult ever, but I guess that's what you do to your parents. To make it even worse, my youngest daughter loves Sanji. But she's a kid. Kids make mistakes. Oldest one loves Usopp, though, which I think, well, I was like, oh, that's weird. But it turns out it's our comfort character. And when the stuff that happens to Usopp during that time that everybody knows that I'm talking about, like we were dead. We were crushed. Like for an hour, we were just sobbing together. My youngest daughter's like, what are you guys doing? I've never seen this before. So it's a very effective show. And I encourage people to watch it now for only really one main reason, is that it's probably going to end in the next few years. It's my guess. I know it's in the final arc of the show, but the main reason is this is the last time for you to comfortably watch One Piece instead of like panicking before the end of the show. Because once the end of the show approaches, once we know what the One Piece is, it's just not going to be exactly the same. It's still going to be an incredible show because the journey has been awesome so far. Even if the One Piece wasn't a thing in the show, it's still a great show. But if this is the last time for you to watch it without a spoiler, because it's hard to catch up. We've been on this show since last September,
Right. Yeah.
and we're still only on episode 300. So good luck, guys. But it is extremely rewarding. I love it.
So somebody else here who we have at GalaxyCon Richmond is Charles Martinet,
Oh, Charles.
who you were able to bring into the My Hero family.
Oh, no, I brought him into the Dragon Ball
Or the Dragon Ball family.
Yes,
You brought him to the Dragon Ball family. Are there other voice actors, other actors that you would love to be able to bring into your family?
Oh my gosh, all the peoples. Like there's so many people. There's everyone I meet, I would love to get into these universes. I was just talking to Nolan North. We were yesterday. I'm like, I don't know if you'll be able to get into One Piece as a show because he's a union actor. I'm a union actor too, but a different kind there. I'm allowed to do some non-union stuff. But I was like, you should try and get in the live action version of it because be involved in One Piece in some way because it's an incredible show. I was lucky. I don't know. Are any of you John Bellion fans at all? Yes, he's a pop singer, an amazing performer, producer, songwriter. He invited me to do some work on his album years ago, and then I brought him in to work as a like bit part in one of the Dragon Ball movies, which is really funny. But working with Charles Martinet was incredible.
Absolutely.
When going to these shows, a lot of the time I'm out with people autographing stuff, or I'm eating dinner, or I'm sleeping. That's pretty much it. And so the only time I get to really know people is when I go to dinner sometimes with them. And Charles and I became friends through going to these conventions, and it was just great to bring him into this universe.
And he's legitimately, possibly the nicest person in this entire building.
It's disgusting. He is way too nice.
So one thing I've noticed about anime and hosting a lot of panels is that sometimes people will ask you about certain shows that you've done, and you may not remember some of those because you may do one episode and you're like, oh, well, I'm glad, that's it means a lot, but I don't necessarily remember. And with that, I've also noticed that a lot of anime titles sound like Fall Out Boy songs.
Okay.
Hear me out.
I'm wondering where this is going.
So I'm going to play a little game called Emo or Anime.
Oh, wow. Okay.
These are going to be either animes that you have been a part of or a Fall Out Boy song.
Oh, this is going to be painful.
All right.
I already have a bad memory as it is. People come up and I'm like, oh, I didn't know I was in that.
That's it. Exactly. Okay, so
Ugh.
the first one, The Devil is a Part-Timer.
That is an anime. I know that for sure.
All right.
I can't tell you what it's about.
Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody.
That has to be a Fall Out Boy song because I don't recognize that. Does anyone recognize this?
Yes. It's an anime.
Well, There you go.
Disloyal Order of Water Buffaloes.
That is definitely a Fall Out Boy song
Yes.
because I'm just going to start saying that whenever I don't recognize it.
From now on, we are enemies. See, like, right?
Ugh.
Or you're all like, oh, they don't sound alike, and now you're all like, oh my god.
That's because anime titles literally can be anything. I think they just roll a dice and say whatever. It's like they name their shows like Taco Bell names their tacos and stuff. They have like dice and they go cheesy, beefy, bean, chalupa, burrito, taco.
Like those little word magnets that you stick on a fridge.
Yes. So refresh me. What was the last one again?
The last one was from now on we are enemies.
That is a Fall Out Boy song for
Bingo!
sure. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
I don't know Fall Out Boy either, so this is great for me.
Well, you're learning here.
Yes.
We're all learning. So last one here. Recovery of an MMO junkie. Any help out there?
Recovery of an MMO junkie.
All right. Show of hands for anime. Show of hands for Fall Out Boy song. Ooh.
This is a Fall Out Boy song then. I'm going against the grain here.
I would trust the fans.
Okay, fine. It's an anime. Is it really an anime?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course they have an anime on MMA.
So when it comes to shows and animes that you've done, like how do you know how many you have actually done? How many different shows you've done?
I really don't. There was at one point where anime on DVD or some anime voice thing had me at somewhere around 700. But I think those were characters, not shows. So I 600 of those were probably just in Dragon Ball. So I'm gonna say 100 shows. I have no idea. The types of shows that I get called in for are ridiculous. And sometimes I am only in there for like one episode or two episodes, and I don't know. I can't remember anything, much less the names of some of these.
Well, I was gonna say, when you go in for some of these projects, are there times that you don't even know what the project is? They're just like, hey, can you read these lines?
I mean, okay, I should probably have known what they were because somewhere my agent or someone said, you're going in for do you want to do a role on so-and-so show? And of course, the answer is always yes, unless it's like disgusting. But yeah, I was on one recently. I played this really kind of, I don't know, innocuous sort of friendly bear character in a show about a sentient vending machine or something like that. Have you all seen this? That was a show. At one point, I was on two different anime at the same time. One was called A Brother's Conflict, and another one was called, what was it called? Dancing in the Clouds or something like that. And guess which one was about ninjas or something which one was about like feudal Japan? It wasn't A Brother's Conflict, I'll tell you that. It didn't make any sense.
No. You think there's somewhere it's lost in translation?
Right. At least they're really good at naming. Japanese people are great at naming their episodes to make sure they spoil what's in the episode. My daughters and I, when we watch One Piece, we always do the skip the preview or like the recap or whatever. But then we do one additional 10-second skip so we don't hear what the title is. Does anyone else do that too? Okay, good. I'm not alone.
That's
Fall Out Boy does that too.
Fall Out Boy. This is a song about my ex-girlfriend. Is the intro to every song. Hello, what is your name? Yes, you. Yes, you.
Lucy.
Hi, Lucy.
Hi, Lucy.
What is your question?
What do you and Hawk and Katsuki no Yona have in common?
Oh man. What do we have in common? Not very much. I'll tell you what. I haven't tried to save a princess before, although maybe in Mario. Let's see. We both like swords. And I put honey in my tea. Does that work? You have to know the show to know what I'm talking about there. That'd be it. That's my best guess. That was a good question, though. I've never been asked that before.
Thank you so much.
Nice to
Lucy.
meet you.
Hello.
This could be the Batman of.
My name is Miles and Christopher Sabat. It's an honor and privilege to meet you face to face, who is the greatest voice actor for my favorite anime of all time, Dragon Ball.
Thank you.
And my first question is, anime often tackles complex themes and narratives. Is there a particular story or a theme from your work that you find especially meaningful or impactful?
Wow. I think My Hero Academia did a beautiful job of tackling a bunch of themes that are very important. And one of them is, what skills are you, at least from the All Might's perspective, what skills are you passing on to people? And as I'm a dad and I've got 2 kids, that show really resonated with me. It really made me feel like, what am I teaching my kids other than how to fart on command and to say inappropriate things at the wrong time? And so that was a deep, I was profoundly affected by kind of the father-son relationship that All Might and Midoriya had. So I'd say that's probably the most poignant one. And also, it taught me a valuable lesson of, like, if you ever want to become stronger, you just eat someone else's hair. Don't do it. Actually, don't do that. Good question, though.
Thank you so much, Miles. Hello, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Christian.
Nice to meet you, Christian.
All right, so I really want to be a voice actor. And first of all, how do you get into voice acting? And sometimes I learn better by knowing what not to do. So what are the worst mistakes you can make whilst trying to get into the voice acting industry while voice acting?
I like that question. It's
Yeah,
usually
that's
the opposite.
a great way to ask that question, actually, because I've heard it the other way a lot. Shoot, there's a bunch of things I can mention. One of the worst things you can do is be too much when you come into a session. Like, remember that especially as more people are getting into the anime dubbing industry who are genuine, like, fans, or like, I'm a fan of anime, I'm a fan of the medium, but I wasn't a fan of anime the way people are a fan of anime now when I started working on it, right? Back when, in the stone ages of, like, 1997, there were only like 3 anime available in stores, or at Blockbuster. There was like Ghost in the Shell, Akira, and Fist of the North Star, and that was it. I was like, wow, they only have 3 anime ever. That's cool. But sometimes people get really excited about the genre, and people know the anime so well that they come in and their excitement can kind of take away from the experience. Like, sometimes a director won't take you seriously if you come in and you're just you talk too much about the show. Or, like, now, don't get me wrong, if you know what's going on in your character, that's great. If you've already auditioned for it and you've got it, that's fantastic. But remember that every time you're in the building recording, in essence, you're auditioning for your next role. And the best way to audition for your next role is to be cool to people, be respectful, listen to your directors, try not to waste too much time, be professional, and just be generally a good person, be talented. I don't know. Let's see. Another thing not to do is, it depends on where you're working, but another thing to not do is to act what you think anime sounds like, because sometimes people do that and it's not the right sound. Sometimes we, as directors, we try to take the perception of anime out of people's voices, because there is kind of an anime sound, especially if you listen to the Japanese versions of them. There is this very, like, predominant sound of anime, and a lot of times we try and pull that out of a performance so that they can get back to what sounds like a real performance to us. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good question.
Thank you, Christian.
Also, when I was in Raleigh, Eric Vale called you a bastard.
I mean, that's not unusual. He has really low self-esteem, and he compensates for that
Right.
by making fun of others.
Maybe
He also smells awful. Have you smelled him?
Maybe he's watching right now.
Oh, I know he's watching. Yeah.
Hello, what's your
Hi.
name?
My name is Cody.
Hi, Cody.
Who would win in a fight, All Might or Zoro? Healthy All Might or Zoro?
Ooh, healthy All Might or Zoro. Well, crap. I wish I had seen All Might fight at his peak. I'd say, oh, well, shoot. I'm going to say, and this is going to, don't kill me, but I'm going to say in this particular instance, I think because he has some sort of weird superpower, I'm going to go with All Might. And it'd be by a narrow margin. And there's two reasons. One, he's got superpowers, and Zoro doesn't seem to have a superpower just yet. And you guys are going to argue like, yes, he does, but I haven't gotten there yet. Or maybe I have, and I forgot. And maybe it's just a Fall Out Boy song. But I also think Zoro would probably sleep through and forget that the fight's supposed to happen. So
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Cody.
you're welcome.
Hello.
That baby's powering up. Push past your limits.
What's your name?
I'm Bert.
Hi, Bert.
My question for you is, what do you think was the hardest voice acting thing you have ever had done?
Let's see. There was this one game director that would bring us in. This was early on in my career where I just wasn't protecting. Well, I've never really protected my voice, but I just wasn't at a place in my career where I could say, hey, no, I don't want to do that. But there was this one voice director, and the problem was he wasn't really a voice director. He was just the audio director for this game company who would bring us in to record at the studio. And he would already bring you in for really painful stuff. Like, you're a soldier, it's I need ammo and a bunch of yelling and screaming. But if your session was 10 minutes till the end of it, he'd go, okay, so we got 10 minutes. Let's see, can we just get some, like a grab bag of like on fire reactions or something like that? You're screaming and you're on fire, and I just have to do it. And that was the worst. That was the worst. And second place is Vegeta. Anytime I have to voice him, he just hurts when you talk as Vegeta, because just the sheer fact of making his voice, you're doing something you should not do ever, which is tighten your voice up and then scream through it. It's the worst. It's a very difficult role to do, and it just hurts, but it's worth it because it's Vegeta, right?
Thank you.
Thank you so
You're
much,
welcome.
Bert.
Of course, Vegeta would have a voice that's even painful. Like, it would just make sense for Vegeta. Like, his voice has to hurt because that's what his life is like.
Hello, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Josh.
Hi, Josh.
I wanted to ask, with the news about Akira Toriyama, obviously, I think everybody in this room would agree that he had a massive impact on all of our lives. Just if you could take a second to reflect on that impact that Akira had on anime.
Sure. Like, wow, it's a tough one. When we all heard that, it was shocking because as you all probably know already, Akira Toriyama died recently, and it took me a minute to process that because I didn't really know him personally. So in a way, in essence, it's a stranger. I did meet him one time, which in 2003 was what was it? It was the launch of Shonen Jump magazine, and he came out to that event, and I met him, and the meeting was just like, Chris, this is Akira Toriyama. Akira Toriyama, this is Chris. And I shook his hand, and he was very nervous because he didn't really like to leave his house very much. It was not he was not a type of person that wanted to go out a bunch. But I always had a lot of regrets after meeting him that I didn't know enough about him at that time, because this was I mean, the internet was barely fast enough to look up anything, and there really weren't a lot of websites to tell you a lot of things. And all I knew was from the fans that I'd met. And so like from that point on, once I realized how rare it was I was going to meet him, I made it a point where anytime I met anyone associated with any of the shows I've ever worked on, I really obsess over it. I really try and soak in every single moment. And I have a story about meeting Horikoshi Sensei from My Hero Academia, and I'll tell you guys that story in a minute. But there are people who come up to my table, and you all know who you are. But there's people that can come up and they don't even say anything immediately, and I can immediately tell that Dragon Ball or one of the shows I work on, and a lot of time it is Dragon Ball because that's kind of the longest running one. You can just tell in their face that something they were going through something. And a lot of the times they will explain, like, I was really sick, or I was dealing with a lot of trauma in my childhood, or I had a terrible home life, or I was recovering from X, Y, or Z for a long time. And that show really helped me get through what that was. And I tell them that when they went into that universe, they were not alone. Like, there were so many other people in that universe with them, and Akira Toriyama created that universe. So that's where I hope he is right now, because that place where everybody went to just escape and to learn from these just amazing characters that he created was really special. And it's a shame that his entire vision didn't continue. And I just hope that he has as much peace in the next world as he brought to all the people in this world.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
Hello, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Lana. Wow, this is really cool. So, who is your favorite Straw Hat other than Zoro, of course?
Oh man, this is a tough one because I love Zoro, but as I'm watching through the show, it's really hard to choose, because when I think I like, okay, I'm gonna bust myself here for a moment. I was like, man, Sanji is really a great character. Don't tell anyone. Oh shit, the internet's watching too, huh? But Sanji is great. And then as I'm learning about all of these characters' backstories, I kind of move to that next character. Right now, we're learning a lot about Robin at the end of Water 7 and his lobby and stuff like that. And my heart goes out to Robin at that point. And I love Chopper, how amazing, like Chopper just thinks everything's amazing. And I love how just Chopper's just really freaking cute. It's really hard to pick a favorite. So it has to, do you want a Straw Hat, or are you talking about anybody in the One Piece universe?
You know what? Why don't we make it anybody, because everybody's so cool.
Do you know one of my favorite performances in the dub of One Piece, and I imagine it's also in the sub, is Bon Clay. I think he is phenomenal, and his performance is so good. That guy doesn't get enough credit because most people don't. He hasn't done a ton of leads or anything, because he's basically Crunchyroll's and formerly Funimation's Gary Oldman. The guy can do anything. He's so talented, and you can look up his name and Barry Yandel, and you'll see him in almost every show, but he does something different every time, and I just think he's phenomenal as Bon Clay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love your cosplay, by the way.
All right, so we have a little bit more than 10 minutes left, so we're going to try to get through as many as possible. Hello, what is your name?
My name is Ash.
Hi, Ash.
My question is, what's your favorite Vegeta and Piccolo moment?
Okay, I'll try and answer it quickly. I love Vegeta's. Let's see. I love it when Vegeta is handed yellow pants and a pink shirt. He's like, "Men in pink, how bizarre!" And with Piccolo, I love the entire Dragon Ball Super superhero movie that just came out. If you haven't seen it, it's freaking awesome. So he finally got to solve problems on his own, which was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love this next person.
Hello,
Hello.
my name is Stelio.
Well,
And
hello.
I'd like to know if there was a fight, who would win, Kermit the Frog or Gonzo?
Gonzo, clearly. I mean, he's nuts.
I give you that. I agree with that one then. All right, thank you.
Plus, he has superpowers, I
He does
think.
have superpowers.
Yeah.
Hi, my name
Hello.
is
Kermit
Nick.
would go down so fast.
Yeah.
Like,
Follow that.
no competition at all.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Nick.
Hi, Nick.
My one question for you is, what originally got you into voice acting, and what's your favorite part about it?
What originally got me into voice acting was that I had a voice that was similar to what my voice is now when I was 12. And so everyone would come to me going, "You got to get into radio, kid." I'm like, okay. And so I did. I got into radio, and then as I was on the air, I realized I like the performance of being on the air. I like the stress of having to, be out by a certain part of the song so that you don't stomp on the lyrics and stuff like that. But what I found I really loved doing was cutting commercials and making commercials, because that's when I got to be creative and do like various voices and things like that. And once I started doing that, I realized that's what I was doing when I was a kid. I was obsessed with seeing what sort of things I could plug into other things to make sounds. I was obsessed with making mixtapes, and I would check out all of the sound effects like sound effects records from the library, and I was that nerd that just listened to them. And I loved just sound. And I would borrow or get like turntables and cassette players, and I would just try and make environments out of different sound effect records and things like that when I was tiny. So I realized, and I also loved to do prank phone calls, which was probably the start of my voice acting career, because I got to do it, and this is going to be a surprise to you all, to many of you younger ones. I got to do it during a time when people didn't know who was calling, and it was incredible. You could call whoever you wanted, and they never knew.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I suppose it's better when somebody says, "Hey, you have a voice for radio," as opposed to, "Hey, you have a face for radio."
That is
right? So
true.
that is better.
I'm lucky I have both.
Okay.
Hello.
My name is Harrison.
Hello,
and
Harrison.
I just wanted to know, what was it like filming during the voice acting for the Namek Saga?
The Namek Saga. That was a long road. Namek Saga was so long. It was interesting learning about the Nameks during that time too. I loved learning about where Piccolo was from. I loved all the and this is a dumb thing, but I loved them getting into spacesuits and traveling to Namek too. That was also one of my favorite parts about it. Seeing Krillin in a funny spacesuit was like incredible. And I don't know. I think I also started doing the voice of Guru during that time, and I thought it was really weird that you bring your children to him and he just like put his hand on his head. He's like, "Here's some power, man." So I love your clown costume. That's really cute. I'm kidding. It's because it's Kakarot, and Kakarot's a clown. Get it? Thank you for your question.
Hello.
I can tell you at that person's age, I would not have been able to ask that question. I would have just choked up. I wouldn't have been able to do it. So it's very brave of you to ask a question, especially when it's on the internet and in front of a lot of people. Go ahead.
Absolutely. My name is James.
Hi, James.
Was curious if you were as shocked as we were to see Mustache Vegeta at the beginning of GT, and if you could elaborate a little bit on that story. And also, just want to say it's very disappointing we didn't get to see him so Super Saiyan with the mustache.
Oh, it is a shame because that mustache would have been so long and blonde. I died when I saw that, and I insisted to the director that he called a mustache instead of a mustache, because it's silly enough that he has a mustache, and then it's Vegeta. I did love for a brief moment in Dragon Ball Super that you got to see the Saiyans with beards too. He was very inconsistent about how their hair actually grew in that show. Like some people had really long hair, or like what would happen to Nappa? Would hair just come out of his shorts or something like that? Like, or his goatee would get really long? I don't really know. But man, that was such a great moment. Mustache Vegeta was best Vegeta.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It should be its own form.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
My name's Carrie.
I know.
I'm sure you do by the end of this day. Are there any bloopers like that are like your best blooper, or the one improv that you did that you either wish made it in or wish did not make it in?
Well, there's a couple improvs I wish that had never been heard. But there's a lot of them that we did that were just fun. Like I didn't do there. A lot of times when you're working in anime, it's not a lot of funny mistakes necessarily. It's sometimes when you're just trolling the director. Like there's this thing I love to do to directors when I'm just feeling salty, where instead of reading the line, I just make up another line. And then they go, all right. I was like, sorry about that. And then I just make up another line instead of my line. And the goal is to try and match the mouth movements every time. So it's an improv exercise. There is this one long thing that I know we recorded where it was Vegeta really sad and telling people how he felt like really human after a while. And I remember continuing on in one take going like, I felt as if like I had become more human-like. I bought a George Foreman grill and I just started listing out all these things. Like I started using normal detergent instead of washing my clothes in blood, and I high-fived people, and I just kept going as long as I could, and that was the next joke. But it's very hard to do a lot of bloopers these days because we're just on such a rush to get it done. I did recently a role in Fist of the North Star. I think they did one of the old movies again. I think Sound Cadence was working with maybe Discotech to do it, and they let us do bloopers. So we had some fun on that. Somewhere on my X or Twitter page or X Twitter page, what is now X was Twitter. I hate the name X. You can find one of them. I had it pinned for a little bit.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so we just got a couple minutes left. If we can do a lightning round real quick.
Okay,
we can
I'm
try to
sorry.
do
It's
as
my
many
own
as
fault.
possible. All right.
All good. Hi, I'm Law. So I had a quick question.
Yes.
So how do you come up with the voices whenever you have a new character? Like, how did you come up with the voice Vegeta, Zoro, All Might? Like, how did you like create them?
A lot of it's just gut. And I think a lot of really good voice actors can just sort of look at something. And I think many of you out there who are aspiring voice actors, you have this sort of superpower where you just, even if you don't want to be a voice actor, you can look at something and go, I know what that should sound like. You just have the confidence to know what it sounds like. In other cases, you have to ask a lot of questions like, where are they from? What kind of car do they drive? Like, what sort of accent would they have? You kind of look at their facial features to see if there's something you could do with it. And in some cases, I'm inspired by the Japanese voice if I get to hear that first, too.
Thank you so much. Hello.
Hi, my name is Cass. So I'm a drag king and I have a Small Might act. I was wondering if you could think of like any song for a Small Might drag act, what would you pick?
Oh my gosh, I have to lightning around this one. What would that be? Because I want to put the proper thought into that. Maybe I guess it'd be appropriate for a drag act too. Maybe I Will Survive or something, Gloria Gaynor or something like that.
I like that.
That's it. Because I think everything else would be too moody. It'd just bring the room down a bit too much. It wouldn't be fun.
That's the vibe. I did Hit Me With Your Best Shot, which was
that's a good call. I mean, you have all the good ideas.
Thank you very much.
I hope to see that someday. That's pretty cool.
This is good. That question is going to be in your head all day now.
Well, it will be. It's going to live in my brain forever.
Hello.
Hi. I'm Jeremiah, and I just want to ask, who's your favorite character to voice in Dragon Ball and why?
Yamcha, because he doesn't hurt my voice and he's ridiculous.
Yes. I knew it.
Thank you so much.
And
Hello.
corn because he has beans.
Hi, I'm Connor. I just wanted to ask how much of that original Brian Drummond impression they did back in like 1998 is still somewhere in your new Vegeta voice that you've been doing forever?
I occasionally think of Brian Drummond's Vegeta voice whenever especially when I'm working on video games, because in video games they'll usually parse out what form of Vegeta it is, or like when I look at the sheet or the script, it'll say Vegeta with Scouter, Vegeta early, Vegeta late, Vegeta Super Saiyan early, Vegeta Super Saiyan late, Vegeta Super Saiyan 2, Vegeta Majin Vegeta. And so whenever I'm doing Vegeta with Scouter, I always think of Brian Drummond, and I always think about how was I ever able to impersonate him before, because he's so good at that voice.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Moses, and who's your favorite character to voice?
A voice in anything? Oh, I like all these different voices for lots of different reasons. I like Yami because he's funny, and Yami from Black Clover because he's really funny. He doesn't remember anyone's name, and I really relate to that. I love Zoro because I'm watching it with my kids, and it's like really special to me, even though they don't care about him. Let's see. I had really fun at a show called Pop Team Epic, where I played a little tiny blonde girl for half of an episode, which is weird. And then in all the other episodes, I was all the Bob Epic teams, which is really bizarre. And then a show that no one's ever heard of is called Ninja Slayer. Was one of the most some of the most fun I've ever had working on a show, because it was a show that was supposed to be awesome, but the guys who produced it in Japan said, let's just troll everyone and make this awful. And it was great.
Thank you so much. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
My name's Kanan, and I just wanted to ask. So, in addition to being one of the greatest voice actors of all time, you also run a fantastic audio tech company called Okatron 5000.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know. So, what was the main purpose of creating that company, or just being a part of it?
Okay, I can answer that fairly fast. I was working at Funimation when we did our very first video game production, and that's when I realized, man, I grew up on video games. Like, the anime didn't, and I'm sure it existed, but it certainly wasn't a part of my life at that point. So once we did our first video game, I'm like, this is what I need to do. I need to work in video games. So we had just finished like the original Budokai over at Funimation, and I love the producers, and so it seemed likely that if I were to leave Funimation at that time, I would still be able to work on the Dragon Ball video games, and that's exactly what happened. And the first game I went to another studio, and I realized how much studios charge people to do their work there. And after doing my next project there, I'm like, I need to open my own studio so I don't have to pay that much money to other studios. And then it ended up working out really well.
Thank you. Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Swanson, and I grew up with you, and I just wanted to be alongside everybody else here. Thank you for being the voice of two of the best nurturing, fathers of Dragon Ball Z, so that I get to do the exact same for my kids and just kind of show them exactly, Vegeta and Piccolo, by far best dads of Dragon Ball.
I appreciate that, and I would love to shove that in Sean Schemmel, the voice of Goku's face, again. I really appreciate it. I was just really lucky, man. I was lucky to be at the right place at the right time, because the gift and the thanks of being on that show is the fact that I still get to do it today, and so I really appreciate it. It made all the hard work that went into it, because it was very hard, and we didn't get paid very much to do it, but it made all that hard work worth it when people say stuff like that.
And don't worry, we skipped chores to make sure that we got to watch Dragon Ball.
You were the first generation of people that had to run home to watch anything, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Half the people are more fit because of that, for that reason. So
yeah, I joined the military soon after.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hello. All right. Last question. No pressure.
All right. I'm Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Hi. Oh boy.
First off, I would like to say Vegeta is way cooler than Goku.
Well, you are correct about that.
And I have a question. Is there any song you like to sing in Vegeta's voice?
Oh man, any song sung in Vegeta's voice is really funny. By the way, like
course.
if I knew a Fall Out Boy song, I would sing it right now. I'm trying to think. The Bingo song, of course, in Dragon Ball. Like literally any song is funny if sung by Vegeta. I hate lyrics, so I never name it. Like trying to think of any song. Okay, yes. Well, I don't remember the lyrics to that either. Shit. What
about Take On Me?
Okay. Take on me, Kakarot. Take me on, Kakarot, please. I'll be gone if I choose to be gone. And then I'm not going to go for that high note, but thank you. You all have a great day. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. One more time, please give it up for Mr. Christopher Sabat.
Thank you.
So before we go out, if you can all stand up, we are going to take a stage selfie real quick. So just stand up in your seat, wherever you are. Not in your seat, you know what I mean. Not sure insurance covers that. All right, so stand right about there.
I didn't pee there, though. Oh, wow.
Milo, you first. Oh, get it first?
Yeah. Wow, that's a cool stage.
Okay. Yes. Everyone, hands up in the back. GalaxyCon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Mr. Madama. Oh.